Hi, everybody. Tim Lotzenizer here. I think you're probably aware that Con Selmer, our Division of Education, is having another marching arts workshop. And this time it's expanded, and I've got some good news to share with you. But first of all, I want you to meet one of the new people that's going to be a part of it. Um, I don't think anybody in the world, if I say Blue Devils, will not know who it is, certainly in the music world. And several years ago, I had the opportunity to do a little leadership workshop for one of their outreach educational things for high school kids. And that morphed into, would you come and hang out and spend time with the drum corps, which I've gotten to do for 10 years. And I didn't realize at that time, one of the bonuses of being part of that family, the Blue Devil family, would be the staff that went with it. And that was my first opportunity to get to meet John Meehan. He'd been a hero for a long time. And so John's with us today. I know he's got some good things to share. So welcome, John. Tell us what's going on in California.
Good morning, Tim. Thanks for that awesome introduction. It's been 10 years
Yeah,
since that first time you came to hang out with the Corps.
yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Time flies.
Hmm.
Things are going well. Inside, sheltering in place and doing what we're supposed to do. But it's definitely been an educational couple of months, learning all the new tricks of staying informed and communicating with everybody. And it's been awesome because I've got to do a lot of things that normally I wouldn't have been able to do and talk to people. And actually, I've had classes with schools around the entire country, universities and high schools. So it's been extremely informative and exciting for me the last couple of months, even though we can't leave the house. So it's been good.
That's great, John. I think a lot of people associate you with the Corps, obviously, for obvious reasons. And you marched what? C, B Corps, you went all the way through,
Yeah,
bottom
I
up.
was I was kind of born into the activity. My parents were at the Troopers when I was born, and then my dad got hired to the Blue Devils, and we moved to California. And at that time, the C Corps was a drum and bell corps. So there was the A Corps, which is the one that everybody knows about, the B Corps, and then a drum and bell corps. And my dad wanted my brother and I to get involved early. So he added horns to the drum and bell corps, and that became the C Corps. So my brother and I were two of the first horn players into the C Corps. And then after 3 years of that, moved up to the B Corps. 3 years of that, moved up to the A Corps, and I marched 4 years with the Blue Devils, '86 to '89. And then a couple years going to college, getting experience, and Wayne Downey hired me in the fall of '93 to come and teach the Blue Devils. And so this is year 27, or it would have been year 27, but uh, obviously there's no summer this year for drum corps. So, but yeah, so I've been involved in the activity for as long as I can remember, and with the Blue Devils specifically since 1980.
That's great. I know, John, in addition to arranging and composing, and you also did some film scores. So all of that put together with this lifetime. I mean, you bleed this stuff. That's part of um, with the workshop that's coming up virtually, obviously. What can we expect from your contribution to that?
Well, I know with these virtual the workshops in general. This one, like you said, happens to be virtual, but I know that the goal is always to give the most enriching experience that we possibly can to the attendees, whether that's going to be directors, administration, or students. So I know that talking with Nola Jones and Richard Saucedo and Randy Greenwell and yourself and the entire team, I know that we're going to try to fit every need. So we're looking at the schedule and seeing how best the Blue Devil staff, including myself, can come in and fit within the structure. But I can definitely say that I'll probably talk a little bit about music performance, talking about the musicality part of the sheet, and when we're working through the dog days of band camp, or getting into the time when we only have 2 hours a week to rehearse, but we still need to get as good as we would have if we had 5 full days. So there's tricks to all those things. And the great thing about marching band is it's different everywhere you go. There is no one size fits all, approach to our activity. And I think you need to be really open to I may have to do something different with my students in order to be as successful as I was over here or this group is over here. And that's why I love things like the Con Summer Institute, is because you are exposed to so many different viewpoints by so many different people. And it just gives you the information that you can go, I liked what they said, I liked what she said, I liked what he said. I'm going to put all that together and I'm going to create what I want to create with my students.
That's perfect. Knowing what the pandemic has done, and Blue Devils and Consumer, we're locked arms. We're on the same. Do you think it would be worth the band director's time or any part of that staff's time, since we really don't know what's going to happen? Is it worth sitting in front of a computer for a couple days and listening to all these people? What are your thoughts?
Oh, absolutely. I personally love this thing called Masterclass that's out there right now. And I'll watch a masterclass on something that I will never do in my lifetime. I'll watch Stephen Curry give me a masterclass on how to shoot a three, and I'm not going to go out there and play basketball at all. And it's the information that you can take that you may not be able to apply right now, but it can somehow influence you on how you do anything. You know, you may come to the Con Summer Institute and we may talk marching band for 4 or 5 hours that day. And then when you're cooking dinner that night, you might apply one of those principles that you learned to what you're doing. And I think that's the great thing about education in general, or just exposing yourself to new ideas and things from people that maybe you haven't learned from before. And being able to just, like I used the word enrich before, but just go ahead and elevate yourself in ways that maybe you didn't think were possible at that moment. Um, and it's just been a lot of fun for me to be able to talk to people that, like I said, normally I wouldn't be able to. If we did Con Summer Institute live, there's going to be a lot of people that aren't going to be able to make it because of schedules or travel or limited availability for seating. But when you go virtual, you know, you can make the time within your schedule. We all have a lot more of it than we normally would at this point in our lives. And travel's not an issue. You know, you can do it from right where you are in your home. So, it's definitely something I think that is more accessible this year than it may have ever been.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. I'm gonna I'm gonna take just a little left turn on you here, because watching you watching you teach, watching your colleagues that teach, and I've stood back and looked at it and gone, wow. So we all know content and we all know context. And the content, I mean, we can all get a hold of that. The context, not what you do, but the way you do what you do, is where I think the magic is. Tell me a little bit about that, because you connect with young people so quickly. What's your whole thought about that? What can we learn? What can we learn from John Meehan about that, is what I want to know.
Well, in some ways, I don't want to share it with you because that makes, it's like coming to a Dr. Tim session. You're going to come away with it feeling better than you did going into it. And if you gave that secret out, well, then we could do that on our own. But for me, truly, it's the students, and not just teaching them, but getting to know them. I've had so many students along the years just tell me that, you knew my name, you knew my middle name, you knew my last name, you knew where I went to school, you knew my parents' names, and that's important to me. It's important to me to get to know the performers, because once you do that, one thing that Scott Chandler is great at is we don't write the show until we know what we have. And then once we know what we have from a membership standpoint at the Blue Devils, this is the Blue Devils, then we go, okay, what can we do? Let's see. Go do this, see what happens, and then musically we do the same thing, and we write it for that group. But it's important to know that group in order to do that. And I think that, like you were saying, content and context, I think one of the great things about teaching is that you can really get them to learn how to perform, not just play notes and rhythms and do drill and move around a field, but you get them to emote and communicate to the audience. And once you can put those two things together, they can do it really well, but at the same time, they can communicate and emotionally connect. Well, then it becomes special. And then I think that's when the context is there.
Yeah, and amen, loud amen. When we look at the headliners that are all part of this marching arts workshop, If there is any common theme, I think you just hit it, that it's student oriented. It's always for the benefit of the student. It's not about I, me. It's always about we, us. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. I do think that is the magic sauce, whether you're doing it or whether I'm doing it in the workshop. As we look to the future, John, I mean, and none of us know what's going to happen. We know we don't know right now.
The one thing we know is that we don't know. Yeah.
For certain, we know we don't know. That's what we know. If you were a band director on the other side watching this, what advice would you have for me just as I'm going forward, not even know which fork in the road I'm going to take, but what can I do right now to prepare, and what will this workshop bring benefits or value to me?
Um, I think one of the things that I've learned through this is take the time that we do have to do things that you may not normally have done. And so with the Blue Devils, one thing that I would have done, and I know that I've talked with a lot of band directors about this, is we can really focus on the fundamentals and technique like we've never been able to do that before right now because we have more time. And we're not in a rush to be able to create a concert and do this and do that, and we're limited by what we have. We can take a lot of time to do that right now. I think being prepared is also the most important thing in the world, and because you're never lucky, it's how prepared you are when something happens that creates the luck. And I think that if we prepare now for a season that may not happen, we'll be even that much more prepared when it does happen a year from now, or whatever the case may be. And I think that we should never stop preparing for something, regardless of if we know it's going to happen or not. Just because all we're doing to ourselves is making ourselves be ready for that moment even more.
Yeah. We'll get a chance to wrap this up, but for all of you that are watching, it's worth watching John's clinic and being in his presence, because it's also a clinic on how to teach. I've never seen you, John, not tell the students why we're doing what we're doing. And the minute they know why, then it shows what they're going to gain from it. So again, I really would encourage you all. I think John could teach, I don't know, how ants to make a house or something, because the way you do what you do is so important. And we're so excited to have the Blue Devils with us. We're so excited to be a part of that. And for all of you, hanging around John Meehan makes you a better person. And I know the students feel that way. What last words do you have, my friend? And then we'll cut you loose and do some arranging.
Thank you very much. No, we're glad to be back too. I really valued our time with Con Selmer when we were there in the early 2010s, and we stayed a great relationship. And I am so glad to be back and stronger than ever, and working with yourself and Mike Camphis and everybody again. And it's going to be a ton of fun. So I'm really looking forward to the Con Selmer Institute next month and moving forward. And regardless of, like you said, if there is a season or not, educating each other, learning from each other, and getting better at the gig.
John, thank you. And thanks for giving us your time. And to all of you out there, I really would encourage you to look. It's June 10, June 11 is the Marching Arts Workshop, and it's a list of headliners a mile long. So John, thank you so much. We'll look forward to seeing you in the days ahead, and to the rest of you to be with us.
Thank you, Tim.
My friend. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You know, they say the great ones, they never have to inflate anything, so you know how great they are. And you just heard one of the great ones. There's just nobody more humble than John Meehan. He's a DCI Hall of Famer. And what you heard is the real deal. That's who he is. So, John, again, thank you. And thanks for being part of the Con Selmer family, too.